Hey everyone, and welcome. So, if you've ever written a bit of JavaScript to make a website button work or maybe an image pop up, you've really only scratched the surface of what it can do. Today, we're kicking off a journey. We're going to take those skills you have and just unleash them. You'll go from tinkering on the front end to building the entire engine that powers a web application. So, here's the big question, right? Are you ready to take what you know about JavaScript and push it way beyond the browser? To use that same language to build powerful, serious applications on the server side? If you're nodding your head right now even a little bit, then you are in exactly the right place. Okay, let's get into it. So what's our vehicle for this adventure? It's this thing called Node.js. Now, don't let that technical definition throw you off. Just think of it like this. For a long, long time, JavaScript was basically locked up inside of web browsers. That was its home. Well, Node.js is the key that opened the cage and let JavaScript run free on the server, the powerful computer where websites actually live. It's the same JavaScript, just in a brand new, much bigger playground. And this really shows you the big picture. Over on the left, you've got JavaScript in the browser. That's the client side. It's all about what the user sees. Animations, drop-down menus, checking if you filled out a form correctly. But on the right, with Node.js, JavaScript is now server side. This is the heavy lifting. We're talking databases, user logins, the actual core logic of an app. It's kind of the difference between decorating the living room and building the house's entire foundation and electrical system. Okay, before any adventure, you've got to pack your bag, right? The good news is you don't need a ton. First, a decent handle on JavaScript fundamentals is a must. You should also be a little familiar with asynchronous programming, and that's just a fancy term for code that can wait for things to happen without freezing everything else up. And finally, just have a basic idea of how websites talk to each other using HTTP and APIs. Seriously, you don't have to be a master. Just knowing the basics is enough to get started. All right, bag is packed. We know what we need. It's time to gear up. Every adventurer needs tools. And in the world of Node.js, your number one most important tool is something called NPM. And honestly, this is the perfect way to think about it. NPM, the Node Package Manager, is literally a giant free app store, but for code. All these packages are written by other developers to solve common problems. Need to handle dates and times? There's a package for that. Need to connect to a specific database? Oh yeah, there are tons of packages for that. It's your ticket to not having to reinvent the wheel every single time. And getting started with NPM basically comes down to learning two little magic spells. First is npm init. You type that in your terminal, and it creates a file called package.json. Think of this as the recipe book for your project. It lists all the ingredients, all the tools you're using. The second spell is npm install and then the name of a package. This is how you grab a tool from that giant app store and pull it right into your project. Oh, and a quick pro tip. If you install Node and these commands don't work, a super common fix is to just close your terminal and open it again. It usually just needs a quick refresh to find them. Okay, we've got our tools. Now for the really exciting part. Let's start building the actual engine of our application. Let's build our very first server. So Node comes with a bunch of built-in tools called modules. They're like a starter kit of Lego bricks for your project. The HTTP module, that's the one that lets you create a basic server. It's like setting up a little stall on the internet that can listen for visitors. Then you have the FS, or file system module. That lets your server read and write files, like saving a user's comment. And the path module just helps you manage file locations so your code doesn't get lost. Now, building everything from scratch with just those basic bricks is totally possible, and it's a fantastic way to learn. But in the real world, we need to build things faster, right? More efficiently. And that's where Express.js comes into the picture. If Node's built-in modules are like a box of random Lego bricks, Express is like a pre-built Lego car chassis. It's a framework that takes care of all the boring, repetitive setup work for you, so you can focus on what makes your application special. Trust me, Express makes building web applications way, way easier. So what does this chassis actually give you? Well, first, routing. That's like the GPS for your app. It directs a request for the App About page to the right place and the contact page somewhere else. Second, it makes building REST APIs incredibly simple. An API is basically a menu that lets other programs order data from your server. And third, middleware. You can think of these as bouncers at the door of your club. They check incoming requests to see, for example, if a user is logged in before they're allowed to see a certain page. So, our engine is running. It can think, it can respond to requests, but it has zero memory. If you turn it off and on again, it forgets everything. To fix that, we need to connect it to a brain. We need a database. A really popular choice, especially when you're starting out, is MongoDB. It's super flexible and stores data in a format that looks a lot like JavaScript objects, which just feels really natural. Now, to help our Express app talk to MongoDB, we use another tool called Mongoose. It's like a translator between the two. And with these tools, our app can now do the 4 essential things with data: create new data, read existing data, update it, and delete it. You're going to see this abbreviated as CRUD absolutely everywhere.
Okay, I know that was a lot of information. You might be sitting there thinking, how on earth am I supposed to learn all of that? And that's fair, but don't worry. Every great journey needs a map. So let's lay out a clear 30-day plan to get you from where you are now to building your first real project.
Let's look at this map. Your first week, days 1 through 5, is all about just brushing up on your JavaScript and getting Node installed. Then, for the next 5 days, you're going to get your hands dirty with those core modules we talked about, building a server from the ground up. In week 3, you'll level up with Express and build your first real API. Week 4 is all about giving your app that brain by hooking it up to MongoDB. And in the final stretch, you'll tackle crucial topics like security, build a full-fledged project, and even learn how to put it online for the world to see. So after following that map for 30 days, you'll have arrived. You'll have the skills. The real question then becomes, what are you going to build? What's going to be your first quest? And the possibilities are just so cool. You could build a solid REST API that handles all those CRUD operations. That's the foundation for almost any modern app. You could build a whole user authentication system from scratch. Or maybe get a bit bigger and create the entire backend for a blog, or even a basic online store. These aren't just little exercises. These are real, impressive projects you can put in your portfolio. So there you have it. We've laid out the map, we've shown you the tools, and we've pointed you toward the treasure. This journey from the browser to the back end, yeah, it's a challenge, but it is so incredibly rewarding. It all begins with taking that very first step. Your journey starts right now. So my question to you is, what will you build first?